Hello, my name is Janet Abuti.
My name is Jan.
My name is Vera.
My name is Cesar.
My name is Joe Bautista.
My name is Jonathan Funke.
I envision a world where every individual has a life free from sexual violence traumas.
I dream of a world where we feel or develop a sense of interconnectedness, where we feel connected and equal.
I dream of a world where businesses create and enable solutions and work in life-enhancing ways.
I dream of an inclusive society where migrants, refugees, and locals can live together cohesively.
I dream of a world where every person is empowered to dream.
I dream of a world where the people that make our clothes can have good living conditions and human rights.
I founded Totia platform that provides psychosocial support to victims of sexual violence using free and anonymous hotline service.
To achieve this vision, we founded the Museum of Values.
I achieved this vision by creating the social business Mimicry, which provides training and employment for vulnerable and marginalized groups, and repurposing waste material into high-quality products.
I co-founded a social enterprise, SDI Academy, where my incredible team and I are building a one-stop portal for all migrants around the world to access their basic services.
I created a nonprofit called Send to Give, which fosters meaningful human connections through the values of creativity and compassion.
I founded Tip Me, and we enable you to tip the person that made your clothes. So when you buy something online, you can find out who made it and send them a tip directly.
Sometimes I find it even hard to sleep because I'm thinking of the future of the organization.
What I find tough as a young change maker is the lack of understanding. I'm okay with not having the advantages of a corporate life and the insecurity that comes with it, but a lot of people think it's not worth the effort, that one should get a proper job.
What I find tough about being a young change maker is the uncertainty of how my actions today will take form tomorrow.
Personally, that I feel that I have to fight twice as hard as others do that are only focusing on financial profits rather than on the social impact. And that sometimes is really exhausting.
I wish society just gave young changemakers like me a shot.
The toughest thing about being a young change maker is that the people at the highest level do not take your solutions seriously enough.
What I wish society did for young change makers like me is to show support. And not just with words, but with actions.
Young people are creating change everywhere you look. They're winning Nobel Peace Prizes. They're mobilizing around the climate crisis in ways that put our national leaders to shame. They're voting in record numbers, volunteering for their communities. They're leading movements against systemic racism, gun crime, and inequality. It's time to start really taking them seriously. Some of them dedicate everything they have to tackling the most pressing issues of our time. They're choosing purpose over paychecks. Their work is their way of life. They are young change makers, activists, social entrepreneurs, innovators, disruptors, dreamers, doers, young people who believe that social and environmental change is possible. Today, let's call them Possibilists. The Possibilists is a deep study of the realities of these young people in 2021 and an ecosystem alliance to address the issues raised by it. Welcome, everybody, to our official launch of the Possibilists. It all started from a drive to fully understand the needs, the motivations, the impact, and the challenges of young change makers, and the desire to shine a spotlight on them and put them on the radar of decision makers across sectors. We have come together as 16 youth social innovation networks. And even though it's going to take a while, I want to list them one by one. Ashoka, Changemaker Exchange, the Diana Award, Global Changemakers, Kofi Annan Foundation, Masterpiece, Obama Foundation, One Young World, Peace First, Social Impact Award, Social Shifters, SOS Children's Villages, Unleash, We Are Family Foundation, Unison Youth, and YSI, a really powerful alliance, and very kindly supported by the SAP Foundation, and by Google.org, who both really share our passion for this issue. Now, as individual organizations, all of us networks directly support young changemakers in each our own unique ways. But what we believe this alliance represents is a unique, a real opportunity for us to collectively aim at changing the overall system and the conditions for youth change-making today. We want to make a statement together of why and how to support these young people. We created a 40-plus question, in-depth study of young people around the world who lead initiatives with a social and/or environmental impact. The study was led on by Alexandra Ian, lead social science researcher and civil society expert, with support on the question formulation and the data analysis by our academic partner, VU Vienna, and their Social Entrepreneurship Center. Almost 1,000 young changemakers aged between 16 and 35 filled it out, of whom 791 are beyond the idea stage and the main focus of this research. We then scientifically analyzed correlations and patterns in the data, and here is what we found out. They come from 137 countries, confirming what we already knew. Young changemakers are everywhere. They're spread quite evenly globally, but I should mention Nigeria as a particular hotspot for youth social innovation today. 53% are female, 45% male, and 2% non-binary. 27% consider themselves as part of a marginalized group. They work on every single one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But by far the highest proportion, 53%, are interestingly focusing on SDG 4, education. This focus on education was also clear when we asked them about their main motivations for starting their initiatives. The number one motivation is all about inspiring and catalyzing other people, often other young people, into action. The second biggest motivation that they mentioned was the deep desire to tackle global issues. And number three was the need to contribute something back to their local communities, often because these communities had suffered an injustice. Actually, the least important motivation for them was around securing employment for themselves, showing us that they have a strong, intrinsic, altruistic motivation to have an impact in the world. Let's quickly now meet a few of the people who filled out the study.
Hi, my name is Mirabel Mora from Nigeria.
Hello, my name is Ryan from the Philippines.
Hello, my name is Sharon Migariza from Kenya and the founder of Leaders for Action and Development in Africa.
Hi, I'm Nawar from Bangladesh.
Hello everyone, this is Al Hassan Muniru from Ghana.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fonti Basarapon from Thailand.
Hi, I am Sadia Murtala from Nigeria.
Hi, my name is Julia Risbeth Gomez Games and I'm from Mexico.
Hi, my name is Peter Nalkafor.
Hi, I'm Abina Ajit, the co-founder and managing director of Refugee Integration Organization.
Hi, I'm Andrea Vanini from Italy.
Hi, my name is Ako Sunday from Nigeria.
Hello, my name is Sarah, I'm from Germany.
Hi, I am Avikal Kumar Gupta from India.
My name is Dylan Zajac. I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey, and I'm the founder and executive director of the nonprofit Computers for People.
I'm the co-founder of Recycle Up Ghana.
The change that I want to see in the world is for persons with disabilities to truly find belonging in our society.
The change I want to see in this world is better education to all the people around.
I am currently working on creating a mentorship framework.
And as the founder of Blank Papers Media,
the change I want to see in this world is a release of women's productive potential.
I imagine a world where people feel responsible for one another.
The change I want to see in this world is a world where young people are sustained by agriculture.
The change I want to see in this world is making mental health a top priority.
I wish that there was more acceptance of change.
And together, we can create the world of our dreams. Thank you.
Now, we rightly celebrate and take inspiration from these young people. And that is one of the reasons why we're here today. But there is also a side of the coin which is less often talked about, which we feel we have to tackle. And while it is these young people who are creating healthier societies for us all in the future, and it is them who will suffer the most from the consequences of our action and inaction on issues like the climate crisis and inequality, we as a society continue to actually let them down. Their undying commitment to change the world is actually coming at a real cost to themselves. The first big challenge we found is personal financial insecurity, and they're making a true sacrifice here. As you can see from the graphic, only 9% of young changemakers can cover all their necessary personal expenses and actually compensate themselves through their initiatives. 66% of young changemakers cannot compensate themselves at all or only symbolically through their work, the bottom two figures you can see. And that's despite the fact that they are really dedicated to their ventures, often working night and day on them. We heard in the Possibilists from 18-year-olds doing 50, 60-hour weeks on their venture and balancing that with work and studies. The gender pay gap is sadly alive and kicking in this sphere too. Significantly more women report not being able to compensate themselves. And as is so often the case in matters of employment, those starting out are in the most precarious position. 4/5 of those in age groups 16 to 20 and 21 to 25 are not able to compensate themselves. And this goes on into their 30s, where more can manage to, but a majority are still unable to compensate themselves. Very likely as a result of this, also 79% of young changemakers have other ongoing professional commitments in parallel to their work. They balance jobs, internships in different fields that may pay them better. One changemaker described this situation to us as a never-ending, unsustainable juggling act. It seems to me a big injustice that choosing this path is so precarious and vulnerable. Again, we as society should be asking ourselves why creating positive change is receiving so little financial compensation. What does that say about our priorities? Our next big finding and big challenge is around well-being. These young people are unfortunately at a huge risk of burning out. They painted us an alarming picture of exhaustion, stress, anxiety. And here the data is really striking. 59% of young social innovators in the Possibilists study reported having experienced some degree of burnout since starting their work on their initiatives. Only 7% report no symptoms of burnout whatsoever. This issue is also significantly more acute among women, non-binary respondents, teens, and for those from marginalized groups. How can these young people reach their full potential both for themselves and their impact potential if they are crashing and burning out while trying to do so? We have to change this. When looking at the stage of the initiatives, just over a third are in the startup phase, just over a third again are operational, and just under a third are now scaling. What this means is that a big majority of young changemakers are in that absolutely critical early to mid stage, sometimes referred to as the pioneer's gap between startup and scale, where they're particularly vulnerable and cannot yet attract bigger funding or afford talent to allow them to lift off, in a kind of a catch-22 loop. And it's crucial to support them through this difficult stage. So what's needed for the Possibilists? What did they tell us about their needs? Here's what they told us about personal needs. Number one was around networks. They emphasized the need to be part of peer-to-peer communities and have access to senior thought leaders and experts. They also highlighted the need to learn and grow through personal and professional development, developing specific skills, mentoring. And another key need for them is to be seen and valued. They again mention personal financial resources plus recognition and visibility as very important. But I want to underline one very important thing here is that they had a really broad and diverse set of needs. All the ones that I said were mentioned by over 90% of young changemakers. So, good news is that you can all find your way of supporting them. Finally, what's needed for the initiatives that these young social innovators lead? They told us many things, but I'll highlight the top three, all of which were mentioned again by over 90% of respondents. Number one, help improving the products and services for their organizations. They have a real relentless focus on quality. Number two, more collaboration. They said that increasing collaborations with other projects, institutions, and particularly with government, public sector, was vital. Finally, access to funding and scaling opportunities. So with all that passion, that commitment, that motivation, creativity, let's imagine what young changemakers could do if we met those needs and supported them in really meaningful ways. I'd love to, at this point, bring on to the stage two of them to reflect on these insights a little. So welcome, Ryan and Mirabel. Hi. Both of them are definitely multi-award-winning, decorated young social innovators, usually found on stage pitching their ventures to impact investors, accepting prizes from royalty, etc. But we want to welcome both of you here today, not as the rock star founders of your ventures, but as Ryan and Mirabel, and to share with us a little more about your personal stories. And starting with Ryan from the Philippines, who founded Virtualahan at the age of 22, has a tiny bit of background, has an incredible venture now having impact across Southeast Asia, creating virtual employment opportunities for those with disabilities and from marginalized groups. Ryan, can you share a little bit about what resonated with you personally about the insights from the study?
Yes, most definitely. I have experienced burnout several times since I started my company, so I strongly resonated with the result. And I didn't realize how much it's slowly draining me, the level of fatigue by saying yes to all opportunities, always finding myself staying late, and even praised and celebrated for working too much, earning a badge of honor for sacrificing my well-being while at the same time projecting strength, composure, and inspiration so that I could be taken seriously as a change maker, as a young leader. There was one time when Virtualahan reached the final stage of a competition and I had to pitch while burning with fever just to fuel another 3 to 6 months of our operations. And instead of being given the opportunity to pitch in a different setting, I received applause for braving it. But I think the standout amongst all those experiences, which I had honestly forgotten, but I was reminded of recently when my brother delivered a speech about it. What happened was that I got out of a final meeting of a long, busy week closing partnerships. I had already been having an anxiety attack while in the meeting, and the moment I stepped out of the boardroom, I went straight to the elevator, and suddenly I couldn't feel my legs anymore, and I had to drag myself out while catching my breath. I reached a point where I had to call my brother to take me home because I no longer had the strength to make it. My brother believes that change makers who are dedicating their lives for the greater good deserve to be fully supported. And it's an injustice to not do so. It's hard for me to speak here today, so much so because I rarely see people talk about these types of experiences. And since we don't see it, we don't see the severity of it. But the study revealed what we've been hiding. Yes, I'm talking to you. It's only going to get worse if we don't act on it. And my invitation for us is to turn this awareness into action.
Wow, thank you so much, Ryan, for your openness and your courage in sharing your story with us all. We appreciate it a lot. And I'd love to also bring in Mirabel now at this point. Mirabel from Nigeria founded Blank Papers Media, an online platform amplifying the voices and the stories of young Africans creating change. When she was just 17, she founded this. And Mirabel, so yeah, over to you. How does what you heard chime with your own personal story and experiences?
Sure. Thank you very much, Nick. I strongly resonate with the challenges of finances and well-being. And indeed, as we grow in life, we need to kick out the bad experiences, but always remember our lessons. You see, the Possibilists survey is not just about stats. These are real people's lives. This is my life, and I'm literally one of the numbers. And the results are also my experiences. So as an undergraduate, it was really hard for me to tell people no, especially when they wanted me to be part of organizations and groups, and I didn't have the bandwidth to be part of so many other things. I was between 16 and 20, managing Blank Papers Media, pursuing my studies, volunteering, traveling around the world and speaking at different conferences. I also had personal things to deal with, and I always wanted to explore so much. I feel fortunate to have had these experiences, but on many occasions I broke down and fell very, very ill. There was a lot of mental stress, fear, worries if I was adequate or not, and all those things that happen to you as a teenager, just trying to grow up but still trying to do good work. Over time, I'm learning to prioritize the most important things to protect my health, which is also my wealth. I still have to take some money out of my pocket to finance Blank Papers Media or The Axis magazine because I love to see good things happen. But I'm thankful that there are bodies today that are giving young people access to funds and mentorship so that they can do so much more good. And I believe that doing good work doesn't have to be so difficult. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much, Mirabel, too. We hope it won't be in the future. And so thank you for sharing a little about your journey with us today. And we're going to see both of you back with us at the final plenary. Bye. So despite this financial instability, despite this risk of burnout, despite very challenging contexts, one other thing that really stood out from the Possibilists study is young changemakers' incredible adaptability, resourcefulness, and resilience. They react quickly when crisis situations arise and make use of their unique kind of bridge role between local and international levels of action. They are really true digital and global citizens, often connected to multiple international networks, yet at the same time reacting to social issues at a hyper-local level. A unique and unprecedented challenge like COVID-19 did not knock them out. Quite the opposite. Despite the intense personal difficulties, imagine it, of navigating the pandemic and trying to tackle complex social issues while in lockdown, the majority of young changemakers have actually felt motivated by it. 80% report that the pandemic increased their wish to make a change in the world. And what is more, 58% of young changemakers also report the pandemic increasing their capacity to make a change in the world. They've adapted super quickly to the new digital reality for us all, developing very innovative ways of engaging with their beneficiaries. They created cryptocurrency basic incomes for refugees in Ghana. They donated computers to underprivileged school-age children in lockdown in the US, helped Ireland's entire charity shop sector, frozen because of the lockdown, get online through e-commerce. 80% continued activities throughout COVID-19, with 69% pivoting them in some way. And only 3% were forced to close down activities and 17% temporarily paused them. And while it should be noted that the pandemic was, of course, extremely difficult for all respondents, many described it as a time that they were really able to scale their impact. They're showing us the way, and with bigger crises around the corner for us. Before we now transition to some interactive sessions to both connect and reflect on these insights, we invite you, first of all, to spend a few very short moments of reflection on what you've heard. If you are or have been someone leading a social change initiative, did those challenges sound familiar to you? Did they resonate with you too? If you're a decision maker or someone who currently supports or has the potential to support young change makers, how did you feel hearing about their needs and their challenges? What could you personally or your organization do differently or better to help address them? We will invite you shortly to the networking area of Hopin to connect one-on-one with 3 other people passionate about this issue. I want you all to look to the left of your screen at the networking tab. From there, when we close this plenary on my signal, you will simply click on the button and you will be randomly matched with someone else in the audience. And I promise you, we have lots of very interesting people from across sectors in the audience. You'll be matched for 4 minutes where you'll be asked to discuss one simple question. What are your reflections on the insights of the study? And of course, take a little time to get to know each other a little. You will do this 3 times, 4 minutes each. So you will meet 3 different people one-on-one in total. And this will happen between now and 45 minutes past the hour. After that, so at 3:45 p.m. Berlin time, 9:45 a.m. Washington, D.C., or 9:45 p.m. Singapore time, or Manila, Ryan, congratulations for being with us so late. Breakout sessions themed around the main dimensions of the study will then open. Click on them, sessions, to join, and you'll be welcomed by facilitators in each session, all of whom are young changemakers themselves. So please be extra specially nice to them, having seen their realities today. These young changemaker facilitators will guide you through a process to collectively reflect on the results. And there, in that room, you will also get the chance to meet some of the partner organizations and other young changemakers who filled out the study. You will be in those rooms for 45 minutes, and we will then see you back here in the plenary at 4:30 Berlin time for a short, sharp wrap-up. And at that point, and do join us, we will look at what are some of the key recommendations for action that the study raised. And we will launch an initiative to source solutions which do just that. Thank you. A warm welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the reflection time, and we hope you're able to feel a little of the sense of community and sense of urgency, of personal and human connection, and the desire for collective action, which we feel will be necessary for the important steps ahead of us all now. We'd love for you all, as many of you as possible, to share now in the event chat on the right of your screen some of the insights that came out of your conversations in the networking one-on-ones or in the breakouts, and the next steps, actions which maybe you started individually and collectively thinking about. Please share in the chat and then take a moment to look together at what emerged. So we have heard from hundreds of engaged young changemakers around the world about their realities today. And so what do we do with these results? As a starting point, we have identified 8 recommendations for action for things which we think must change, which young changemakers themselves will now talk you through briefly.
Our first recommendation: focus on the person, not just the initiative. We want to be seen, heard, and valued as individuals. The focus should be on fostering a lifelong change-making mindset that is not bound towards a specific organization or initiative.
Our recommendation number 2 is ensure our financial stability. Money matters. We face high levels of demand and low levels of financial security. Support programs must take this into account. We are doing hard, important work and deserve fair compensation. If you engage us as speakers and promote our work, even as micro-engagements, please make sure that we are fairly compensated.
Recommendation number 3, support us to prevent burnout. Our generation of change makers are burning out at unprecedented levels. And as a sector, we must first of all acknowledge this issue and then take sweeping action to remedy it.
Recommendation number 4. Support our initiatives to grow and develop. Many of us are in that dangerous mid-stage where we need more support in scaling and achieving financial sustainability. Connect us to like-minded peers and initiatives that complement our work and strengthen our network. Rethink the funding programs to lower the barrier to access.
Recommendation 5. Build upon local and international connections. We can effectively communicate local challenges internationally, while at the same time translate global matters into concrete local actions.
Recommendation number 6. Use our strong commitment to make a difference. In the face of crises like COVID-19, we see young social innovators stepping up with constructive solutions against new problems. Our resilience, innovation, and adaptability are vital resources in building healthy societies in the future. We can be accessible role models and multipliers for other young people to start becoming changemakers in their own local community.
Recommendation 7. Reduce systemic inequalities in programming. Systemic inequalities are one of our main barriers. We need to put an explicit focus on reducing these barriers in order to achieve real diversity, inclusion, and belonging. This is essential for developing effective solutions for all.
Recommendation 8. Give us a seat at the table. We young changemakers are future-oriented and tech-savvy. Help facilitate our access to decision makers and places of power and influence. Amplify our voices and credibility as key stakeholders and contributors.
We hope that many of you saw opportunities yourselves in how to incorporate some of these recommendations into your program designs, into your funding practices, your communication campaigns, maybe your pro bono offerings, or even in your everyday interactions with young social innovators. We are now extremely excited to be launching now as we speak our new website, going live this second at thepossibilists.org. And I want to take a second here to give a big shout out to Rainbow Unicorn, our design agency in Berlin, for the awesome visual identity. At this site, you can check out personal case studies and stories of the Possibilists. Videos, quotes, see interactive data visualizations and infographics, and you can download both a long academic version and a key insights deck of the study itself. For us, it is crucial that this does not just stay as research, but is turned into action. This is why we are also now thrilled to launch our Ecosystem Solutions Initiative. In this initiative, we will source and connect solutions at an ecosystem level which address the exact issues raised in the Possibilists study. These could be issues which tackle the issue of personal finances, which you saw, perhaps with a new universal basic income for young change makers, or an innovative way of startup funding them. Could be a solution for tackling burnout in young change makers, like our friends, for example, at Recipes for Wellbeing, who are developing tools, running gatherings, and help organizations and individuals cultivate well-being. Could be ways of improving diversity in the ecosystem, like our friends at Bridge for Billions, who offer a digital accelerator for social startups outside the main urban centers who may not have access to the regular ecosystems of support. What we pledge to do is, number one, to source and select solutions which we feel can really make a positive impact in improving the conditions for young change makers around the world, and which have great proven products and services that do so. We will then create and share widely a repository of these ecosystem solutions. We will present and connect them to all the Alliance members. Collectively, we support tens of thousands of young change makers and would have the potential to plug some of these into our work. Finally, later this year, we will run short dynamic gatherings for some of the people behind the ecosystem solutions, giving them the chance to learn from each other and find synergies. We invite any of you who lead such initiatives to submit your solution by 15th of August at our website. And then in November this year, you will find at thepossibilists.org the repository of solutions. We'd like to, at this point, to re-invite Ryan and Mirabel to the stage to share with us a little of what are your hopes for the Possibilists Initiative and Alliance moving forward. What is the significance of this, and what do you hope that we can achieve together? This time, first you, Mirabel, and then straight over to you after, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Nick. As young people, we're fighting hard every day to live, to lead, to survive, and to make the world or our countries a better place. Some of us come from countries and climates where things can be so difficult, not just with our own personal well-being, but also economically, systemically, and even politically. There's so much to be discouraged about, but we still set our eyes to see possibilities where others see impossibilities. For me, I believe that when we have support from social innovation networks, it fosters hope in our hearts, hope to remind us that we are not alone, even in our darkest valleys and journeys towards bringing change. And it's significant that the social innovation networks involved in this study are banding together, not only to improve the social enterprise movements, but also to support us as young people to develop more solution-oriented mindsets and inspire a younger generation to be change agents. When we're supported to live right and take the right actions, it gives us more courage to come up with more solutions to more of the world's most pressing challenges. And there's just so much significance to this.
My gratitude to everyone for your gift of presence. Thank you for joining the launch of the Possibilists. I wish to remind you that the data that we learned today from the Possibilists study are from the lived experience of young change makers all over the world. They are simply not just numbers, but the results of our battle scars, an outcry, a demand, an ultimatum. My hope is that the Possibilists as an alliance, as a study, as a community, as a trailblazer would turn data into solid solutions. Together, we have the opportunity and responsibility to make it better and easier for change makers to deliver impact. We need to address the systemic root causes of the issues that the Possibilists uncovered and build mechanisms to ensure that young change makers are holistically supported. Some of the damage of these experiences is irreversible. I personally have to live with them for the rest of my life. That's why I am committed to helping in building better support system, starting by speaking out today. And I invite you to take an active role and protect the welfare of our young change makers.
Thank you both, wow, for your time and for your very powerful words today. And everyone listening, you can't say no, I don't think, to Ryan and Mirabel speaking from the heart so much there. Thank you again. And we'd like to slowly start to close now by starting to say a massive thank you for all those that have taken the time to be with us today. Thank you, and thank you for really caring about this issue. It means a lot to us. And production team, I apologize, I'm gonna go off script for 60 seconds or so here, but I wanna also share a huge debt of gratitude for everyone who's gone into shaping this study, and because it's been a true labor of love. And big thanks to Matthias, Scheffelmeier, Nadia, Saib for unbelievable overall coordination of this whole thing, supported by Ina. Big thanks. I feel like I'm introducing a music group now. And on bass, thank you also to Nicole Winchell, brilliant editing on this, taking Alexandra's data and first report and twisting it here and there. Thank you to Elena for PR. Thank you also to Alex, Jen, and Koteid from SAP for believing in and sharing this vision from a very early stage. And to Rowan and Rachel from google.org for both your generous support and new ideas for this. Finally, thank you to Tito Spinola and Kinetica, our production and tech teams, and again, to all the Alliance members for your tireless work, both in shaping this and in your tireless work supporting young change makers. If this was an in-person event, remember those, we would now, I'm sure, be having whoops and applause and claps on the stage here. Thank you. A small self-reflection for us. And while it is our intention to honor and celebrate the important work that young change makers are doing, we certainly do not want to celebrate or glorify their suffering. Nor do we want to contribute to the narrative that youth are under obligation to save the world. While they are proving time and time again that they are capable of truly incredible things, they should not have to withstand incredibly negative working conditions. Therefore, let us not sit back and offer them our congratulations, but step in and step up to support them. Our message to young change makers out there, and we know many of you are here, we've heard you, we've got your back, and we're really going to fight to try and make your lives and work easier. Our closing message to the whole ecosystem and all of you with us today, we deeply believe that if we can focus more on the people behind these initiatives, if we can ensure their financial stability, if we can prevent them from burning out, if we can support their initiatives to grow, leverage their strong motivation and local and global connections, if we can reduce the systemic inequalities in support and truly give them a seat at the table, then this all, in turn, can have a really transformational impact for people and planet. Thank you.